So I decided to go to the park and not talk for 30 minutes. And I initially wanted to do this as a study or an experiment to see how not talking correlated with stress relief. And I was amazed, yes, that I did feel stress relief, but I was amazed by how not talking opened me up to all the different types of senses I have. I didn't realize how much talking got in the way of all my other senses and how they worked. When I wasn't talking, I just realized, like, when I was walking through the park, like, I could hear the kids playing in the playground. I could smell the dirt. I could smell people grilling. I could smell the trees in the air, and I felt the wind hit my face. And I could even hear the baseball game that was happening in the background. The parents cheering, the ball hitting the metal bat, the ball hitting the glove. I could hear all of these sounds hundreds of feet away from the game itself. So I started to think, like, wow, like, how many times have I distracted myself from what was happening around me, not just in nature, but with my family or talking to my friends or coworkers. And I just started to think, like, I would have been more of a caring individual to people around me if I just shut my mouth for a second. In Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, his biggest principle was listen. And because what listening has to offer compared to us talking all the time is it shows people that we care and we care about what they're actually saying. And it comes down to respect. We all hear the classic line of be in the present moment, or in all my videos, I say be mindful. What this trip at the park taught me was that we don't need to necessarily be meditating for hours at end to be more present. Maybe all we need to do is just stop talking and let all our other senses do their job. You know, Immediately after this experiment, I wrote this script out for this podcast within minutes, and I was amazed because my thoughts were so incredibly clear. In the art of being mindful, like what started as a trip to see how not talking affected my stress levels turned into realizing how not talking can amplify all our other senses and it could fuel our intention of living more in the present moment.